Yo, 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 good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show.
Yo, 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 good people. It's your homie HerbMan. Here you back upside the head with another hot banger boogie. Hey, look, go tell somebody your homie HerbMan is on. And if you're new to the program, welcome. Go ahead and hit that logo right at the bottom of your screen. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss what we're bringing to the world, all right? So remember, you guys, as always, it is free to like, share, and subscribe. It is your way of letting HerbMan know you appreciate the information, all right? So without further ado, you guys, we need to talk about this particular subject. And it's been talked about a lot through the course of the years, but we're talking about obesity and the black woman, okay, and how this is really plaguing us as a race of people, and it's not necessarily black women's fault, but it is something that we definitely need to look at a little bit more in depth to really understanding our bodies, our hereditaries, our genealogies, and really understanding what we are passing down. And so it is very important, not just to the individual woman's health as just a person, but is also conducive to the children that she will bear and the race, how strong or how weak the race is going to be. It got to come through the woman. So this is a very, very weighty subject. I could do plenty of videos on this. This is one of the biggest things that I think we need to be talking about. You know, we're inundated with a pandemic, but this has been an epidemic in the black community forever, okay? So when we're talking about how obesity in the black community even developed, okay, is, you know, we can go back into times of when we didn't really have control over our own food source, okay? And we can also go back to the transatlantic slave trade, when we kind of lost our connection with our indigenous foods. And so we created foods that were in our environment, just like we do now when we make something out of nothing. That's how we basically did, and that's how we've been doing, okay? And so we got a lot of these things that we're eating today from different cultures, but it's not really our own, okay? It's not really our own. And so because of that, these foods are doing our bodies a little different than everybody else, and especially when you're talking about the black woman or the African woman. And that is the person that you really, really want to be able to keep healthy and keep, you know, as good as possible. But why? Because again, she birthed the race. All right, she's going to keep having these kids. And if she has issues within her body, she will pass them down into the children. And then you will begin to get a weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker race. So that's why we're doing this video today, okay? So basically what we're talking about here is the black woman and obesity, okay? The black woman and obesity. And basically what we want to talk about is why, okay? Why is obesity a big issue when it comes to the black woman? Well, one of the main things why, like I said at first, is that we're really not eating our indigenous diet, okay? And when we're cooking up these soul foods, we're using heavy oils, heavy fats, and heavy butters, and you know, we've got to put cheese on everything and all that type of stuff. So we're really eating a fattening diet, you know. When you're talking about all the dairy products that we grew up on, most of us ate cereal coming up, especially if you're, you know, over 30 or 40, you're a cereal baby. You know, you came up off cornflakes, Cheerios, and all the rest of them, and that milk, you know what I mean? And so that was to fatten you up. That's what we considered fatten the baby up. You got to drink milk, right? And so now we come with the lactose intolerant. So what is happening is we had the wrong diet, okay? That's the first thing. Now, secondly, as the young lady ages, especially when you're talking about the life of a female, as she ages, her exercising dwindles. And it's not just with black women, this is with all girls, okay? All girls, as they continue to get older, they don't, unless they're really into sports, unless they actually play sports, they're not really going to be doing a whole lot of physical activity, recess and all that type of stuff. So even in school, as you can see, that most of the girls stop exercising as they continue to go. But here's the caveat. Black women tend to stop exercising a lot more earlier than some of the other races, females, okay? And so we tend to, around junior, senior year of high school, we tend to, I ain't doing nothing else. My hair did, I'm looking cute, I don't wanna sweat, I don't wanna change clothes, I don't wanna do nothing but look pretty all day and do my schoolwork, okay? And so that is kind of starting the onslaught. So remember here that what we said in our videos, that you can really do all of these, the natural, this is your 4 elements. This is the natural progression of how you're supposed to be eliminating things out of your body, okay? And we have came to the acknowledgement that we can do all 4 of these things through 2 means: eating the right foods and exercising, okay? Eating the right foods will allow us to do a bowel movement and urinate properly, and exercising will allow us to sweat and breathe properly, okay? So we already got the 2 things that's needed, food and exercise. Everybody already knew that before, so it's not like HerbMan invented this, okay? But when you understand that those 2 things will allow you to go through your natural progressions, and then if I tell you that black women and obesity, they stop what? One of these things they stop early in life. So if food and exercise is the way for you to be able to naturally release and put back in, eliminate and put back in, if those 2 things are your abilities to input and output, when you stop exercising, then you basically take one phase of how you should be in your natural progression out, automatically tipping the scales. So now you're consuming food, and this is not even the right food. But even if you were consuming the right food and you still didn't do what you needed to do to create the sweating and the breathing, you're going to still heading into trouble. So at the same time, now when we're looking at our black women and we understanding that they're stop exercising way early on than most girls, even in the junior, senior year of high school, okay? So that means that they're already eliminating one component that it takes to stay healthy. And you're already starting out with one error. You're eating the wrong diet. So now we got eating the wrong foods, starting out eating the wrong foods, end up stop exercising way earlier than everybody else. This is why we have this particular epidemic in our community, okay? So now on top of that, once you get out of high school, then you're in your little college years now. You ain't trying to, you're not trying to mess up your life or nothing like that. So you want to hurry up and get you on some birth control. Now, in some cases of obesity is due to our birth control and what we're taking for that. Okay, and then in some other things is once you get out of school or once you find you that great job, most black women have sedentary lifestyles. And so what that means is you're mostly working in office buildings where you're sitting around a lot, okay, and you're really not what? Being physically active. Okay, being physically active. Now, don't get me wrong, black women are inundated with kids, family, responsibilities, careers, and all that type of stuff. And sometimes because of our hardships, especially being in this environment, remember that capitalist environment keeps us so busy on everything else other than ourselves, that where you really can't find the time in the day to get to some physical activity or to get to some exercises. I can remember one time, no, not one time, but I can remember when I was in Japan, when I was in the Navy, and it was just crazy to me that the Japanese people, before they would go to work, they would have this big workout. Like everybody would be out there in the parking lot or in front of the office building, and they would be doing, their Tai Chi very slow, and they're going to do this for the first 10-15 minutes before they even come in here and try to work. And I guess one of those things why was they wanted to get that relaxation, get that physical activity, get that blood flowing, and come into work ready to go. Okay, and so one of the things that they did as a country per se was to make sure that they got the blood flowing and they got all the energy going before the employees came to work. Now, I also remember just being here, some ladies in some of my old jobs would go and walk around the parking lot and everything like that, either before work, on lunch, or after work, okay, trying to get that physical activity in. Now, why is this really big outside of the black woman herself? Because she has our babies. And when we're eating the wrong foods, you guys, okay, when we're eating the totally wrong foods and we're not able to eliminate, right, because we're not doing the proper natural means of elimination, okay, and so what happens is these bad foods and all of these oils and fats and all of this stuff begin to make genetic changes. They begin to make genetic changes. So now let's go back through the lifestyle, or go back through the chronological order of this particular young black woman here. Okay, she stopped exercising in her senior year. She got on birth control to not get pregnant, right? And so, you know, to finish out her college year, she got a degree. She got a great job. She's doing a sedentary lifestyle. Okay, boom, 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 boom. And she's eating the wrong foods and she's not exercising. Okay, so now she's ready for what? The baby. She's ready for a family. She's ready to find her husband, and she's ready to get her life going on with the family and orientation and doing all that type of stuff. Okay, so now with all these bad foods in her body, herself being a little obese, she may have problems having a baby. So now when you're talking about PCOS, endometriosis, when you're talking about fibroids and all of these are things due to what? Collection of acids and stuff being in your body. And then they start to form little polyps or little tumors that we call fibroids or this or that. But it's still little pockets of pus and crap that shouldn't really be in there, because you should be able to eliminate that stuff out of your body. Okay, so now this particular woman, she may have infertility issues, all because of the pandemic that's going on in the black community. Or she may be able to conceive, but when she has the baby, now the baby get all of that genealogy, all of those genetics that have been mutated. Okay, that have been mutated in that mother. Now she passes it on to the baby. Now when the baby gets here, it may have asthma. Okay, it may have issues with mental illness. Okay, it may have a weak immune system, so it comes out with an autoimmune disease. Okay, because we are passing this down. Remember that at the time you have the baby, at the time that you get pregnant and have the baby, all of that genealogy goes into that baby. So if you are healthy and then have the baby, then you pass on healthy genes. But if you're unhealthy at the time of conception, you're going to pass on unhealthy genes, unhealthy traits. That baby's gonna already want pork chop soon as it come out. It's already gonna want, you know, a rack of lamb. It's already gonna want chicken as soon as it come out. Why? Because that's all you gave it. And so it in itself began to what? What did it do? It began to get used to their foods. I need that. Just like you think you need it. It becomes habitual. You know, it becomes habit forming. And it's also acid forming. So now you're having the firstlings of the onslaught of not only disease in the black woman, but the pass down of disease to the black community. And so now you're building a weaker and weaker and weaker race, not necessarily to the fault of the black woman, but just to the understanding of the misunderstanding or the non-education of our indigenous diets and our way of eating and our way of being and the products that we need to use to create the foods in the way that we used to create them. Okay, so you got to remember, I always tell people the Adam and Eve theory, you guys. Did Adam and Eve have fire? Did they have pans? Did they boil anything, fry anything? Did they kill any animals? No, man, everything that was on the tree is fruits. So when you're looking at what should I be eating? Okay, look at what grows on a tree. Okay, most of those are going to be fruits. Okay, veggies, nuts. That's what really hang off a tree limb. You know, it's gonna be fruits. And I say vegetables, but you got your fruit vegetables, you know, your cucumbers, tomatoes, all that stuff that got the little seeds in them. They're going to be very, very good for you. Those are the vegetables that we're talking about. Roots and sprouts and shoots and nuts. That's our diet. That's our diet. Okay. And that diet will keep you lean, mean, green. You understand what I'm saying? But we don't have that diet. We don't have that diet, and we're looking into that now as the health trend and the health fad, and you know, diseases, as much as they keep coming in, people will start to turn toward more healthier alternatives. But you still have to ask yourself, you know, especially with the vegan movement, and I'm going to say this to the vegan people out there, you know, processed food, no matter which side is on, is processed food. It is all bad. Processed food, no matter which side is on, is bad food. So if you're going to be a vegan, you should also be a farmer and a gardener so that you don't have to go into processing food. And now if you know how to process it in your little blender and grinder and everything, then that's fine. But if you're going out here buying Frankenstein meat that they call Beyond, and if you're going out here buying Frankenstein this and Frankenstein that they're calling Beyond Chicken and Beyond, you know, this and that, and come on, man. You know, if you want a burger, you might as well eat beef. If you want that flavor, you might as well eat beef. And I'm not encouraging it, but I'm just saying, you should not be trying to trick yourself. Either eat healthy or understand the consequences, okay? And so that's what we're doing here. And so this obesity has kind of matriculated into something massive. And so now the children that are coming out of this pandemic are more weaker and susceptible to things like what we're dealing with now. Okay, they're more susceptible to, because you got mental illness, now you're more susceptible to what? Coping mechanisms like drugs. Okay, now of course we have the suppression of our people in this particular country and all over the world, and so that could drive you to do act out in certain ways as well. But if you can get the understanding of what you should be eating, why you should be eating them, then you may be okay. But also too, if we can just get this in here, right? Our natural way of elimination, and we just can incorporate those in our life, we should be good. Now, what are we passing down? I'm glad you asked. So we passing down, especially when you're talking about obesity, you passing down things like high blood pressure. You can pass down things like type 2 diabetes. So it's going to be type 2 diabetes before it get to type 1, right? You can pass down things like asthma, which I see a lot in our community. All of these I see a lot in our community. Heart disease is just the upper echelon of what all this stuff right here is doing. High blood pressure, diabetes is all a part of heart disease. Okay, it's all a part of that. And so name me all those that are looking at the video. Well, I don't know who my audience is out there as far as you know, skin color and race and all of that. It really doesn't matter. But you know that at least these four right here, you know what community those plague the most. You know who's dealing with these in a more disproportionate manner. Okay, now look at the cancers. You got colon cancer. You already know who dealing with that more. You got kidney cancer, who dealing with that more. And you got breast cancer. We already know who dealing with that more. Our black women. So our black women are dealing with breast cancer more. Our black men are dealing with colon cancer more. We all are dealing with these high heart disease issues, whether it be high cholesterol, high blood pressure. And why? Why? Once again, I'm going to tell you why. Once again, I'm going to tell you why, because I didn't want to make this video long, but I definitely wanted to make it strong. And so I want you to really see this, hear this, and understand this. So the very two reasons of why you got in obesity is also the very two things that can cure the situation, that could be the remedy for an age-old, you know, century-old, thousand-old, however long situation. So how our people got into obesity was wrong diet, right? Our women, and stop exercising. Now, what your homie HerbMan say? Now, what your homie HerbMan say here? Wronged or wrong? So what your homie HerbMan say here as far as the 4 elements, right? Because a lot of people act like they don't understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the 4 elements. You act like, we acting like we don't, what is he talking about? What is he talking about with the 4 elements? Talking about doing things natural, okay? This is, don't get caught up in astrology when you're dealing with me, you guys. Don't get caught up in the humors when you're dealing with me, you guys. Get caught up in understanding that I'm trying to simplify this. I have to take you through these little complex roads to get to a more simpler ending, because I want you to see that it's all been so convoluted. All right. When the people first started to try to even dissect human bodies and figure out what the world was going on with them, they were starting it from an astrology standpoint and a physician. Every physician back then had to be an astrology priest type, physician type, right? So you had to kind of dib and dab in these 3 areas. You got to know the astrology so that you can time things. You got to kind of know the priesthood so that you can have that source connection. And then you had to know how to operate, or how to give somebody some herbal remedies, okay? And all of that stuff was connected. All that stuff was connected. It wasn't really any like 3 separate things. It was all one thing that was connected. It was just in phases, right? But it's all about one thing. And so that's all this is about, but it's getting you back to the real 4 things that you got to look at: food and exercise. So when we came, because of our situation with the transatlantic slave trade, and because of the suppression of our people, and because of all of these things that we've been, and look, this is not just in America. Even though we're talking about a capitalistic environment, this stuff is going on in Africa, it's going on in South America, it's going on in the Caribbean, it's going on everywhere black folk is at. Okay, everywhere black folk is at, even all the way down to some of our subcategories of blacks. When we're talking about the Spanish community, the Mexican community, these people are dealing with the same stuff. They're dealing with the same stuff. Obesity. Okay, and once you start dealing with this, you're going to start dealing with these. And like I said, when you get ready to have your babies, you pass all of this stuff on to the kid. And now we are just so weak, and we're just so discombobulated. And, and again, we continue to eating the slave diet instead of the indigenous diet. We're eating the slave diet. That is a diet full of fats, oils, and butters, and dairy products. Okay. All I'm saying is that that's going to change your genealogy. All right. That stuff is going to change your genetics. That way you can go from a little small girl to something 400, 500 to 1,000 pounds. Why? Because it's changing your genetics. you know what I mean? This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. The things will change your demeanor. So now the remedy to the pandemic is an indigenous diet, right? And exercise. That's it. Now, when I'm talking about exercising, don't let the word exercise scare you. Don't let the word exercise scare you. Long, slow walks is exercising. Going outside and gardening is exercising. Okay? To some people, based on their genetic makeup, heavy breathing, that deep, fast breathing I was talking about, is a form of exercising. Look at what the word meaning, that you're exercising, you're exercising the demons, so to speak, right? You're letting all of that bad energy, all of that bad air, all of that bad toxins, you're getting it out of you through exercising your body. We're eliminating the vampires that are leeching off of us. We're eliminating the bad bacteria that is acting like a parasite in us. We are eliminating those toxins that we get through the environment and through our food sources. They're not going to grow your foods any better unless you demand it. So unfortunately, when you go to the grocery store in your community and you thinking that you're getting great strawberries because they look good, and you're getting great oranges, and you're getting great apples and all of that, you unfortunately, they're not going to be all too good, Okay, so we got to be a little bit more conscious and a little bit more hands-on with controlling our food sources and at least knowing where they come from. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out and be a gardener. I would wish that everybody would grow their own foods, but at the same time, I know everybody can't do that. Everybody ain't gonna want to do that. But at least you can do is piggyback and connect with those who are growing things naturally and organic and not using pesticides, herbicides, and all of that to try to get some money. Everything ain't about money. They say money grows on trees, but then money must be food, because food actually grows on trees. And that's all the money you really need as far as staying alive. Money don't keep you alive. Food does, okay? Food and air keeps you alive. So don't get all up in your head with what I got to do to exercise. It could be very, very small things. Again, like I told you about Japan, some of you guys could start petitioning at your companies and saying, hey, we ain't gonna work until we get 10 minutes of exercising every morning before we clock in. Everybody needs to be here by 8 o'clock. We clock in at 8:10, or we clock in at 8 o'clock, do the 10 minutes on the company, and just call it a health and wellness program that we're doing for our people. That's all the job got to do. It's just a health and wellness. Hey, if you do this every day, we're going to record it. Maybe you get a little bit off on your insurance. All right. Or maybe you can, you wear those little tracker things and you got your little insurance. Those things pay off, and people are being rewarded for those things as well. If you can continue to exercise and do it on your tracker, and then your insurance company get it, they send you $1,000 a year or something like that. So there are companies out here that are incentivizing moving and exercising. And so all you got to do is just mandate it at your job. Hey, look, we need to exercise. It's going to boost up productivity. Okay. It's going to boost up morale. Okay. And it's going to make sure that people are able to do their job efficiently and sufficiently. Okay. And then when you're teaching the people, they're not in there falling asleep on you. You know what I mean? They ain't in there falling asleep on you because they got plenty of energy. You got them ready for the day. So now when you need to do a turn, you're going to be able to churn out what you need. Why? Because your churn rate going to go up, because I got energetic, ready to work people. So it will benefit both ends, the employer and the employee, if we can just demand just small changes to our stuff to make sure that when I go to work, I can still get it. When I come home, I can still get it. Now, when we start to change, now the real significance of the black woman, again, because she is the family glue, when she starts to change, pretty much everything gonna change. Who cooks in the house? Now, I know some men out here are Chef Boyardee, and I appreciate y'all for that. But for the most part, most women hold down the kitchen in most of our families. Okay, so when the woman begins to change her diet and begin to learn how to do it for herself first, then again that pass down will start to happen. So it's not just a genetic pass down of disease, but once we get this thing corrected right, now it's a pass down of the right rituals and traditions of how we supposed to eat and how we supposed to be and how we're supposed to, be naturally one with ourselves and with nature. You see what I'm saying? And so now when you start to pass down the right way to eat, when you start passing down healthy kids in our community, the brightest children, not just the ones that are stronger, faster, but I'm talking about the smartest ones, the hardest working ones, you know what I mean? The healthiest ones. That's where you want to be as well. That's where you want to be as well. And so it all starts with the queen of the house. The queen of the house, because she is the mother of our race. So when we can get her to get off of the slave diet and to get off of the oppressors' foods, but we got to teach her what we supposed to eat as well. So once we can get her off that diet, then we can get her out of those disease states. Then she won't pass them down to us. Okay? And then we won't continue to keep passing down and keep passing down and keep passing down. Now, this was all about food, but we can go into all other matters. This is gonna work on every level. Once you eliminate the conditioning and the social engineering, all right, and start the new stuff, you're gonna pass it down. So it works in every way. Once you start releasing all of the spiritual social engineering, and get that real good stuff in, right? Gonna start passing it on down. And then we start breaking the shackles off our brains, off our stomachs, off our bodies, off our everything. We start breaking the chains off, and we start getting back free because we're escaping the prison of engineered information. Now you're getting outside of that box, and you're starting to find that the grass actually is greener on the other side. And so when you're in here, you're in a food desert. When you get out the box and jump over that fence, the pasture's green, baby. Now here's the thing. The pasture is green, and you got plenty to eat, and you're back in nature, but you got to do it all yourself. And so that's a very big thing, because a lot of us like handouts. A lot of us like being in the prison because they feed you 3 times a day. They make life a little easy for you when you're in the prison. You got 3 cots in the hot over here already set up for you when you get up in here. You don't got to do a whole lot in here. You see what I'm saying? You go to work 8 hours, 40 hours a week. You don't got to do no more. You get a check. And that's why people don't want to be entrepreneurs, right? Because it's doing too much, and I still don't have a guarantee. But if I go down here and clock in, I'm guaranteed. But sometimes that can handicap you, because I know that some of us don't feel like working when we go to work, and you sit on them folks' clock just to get that 40 hours. But that's a waste of not only their time, it's the waste of yours. It's a waste of your time. You could be doing something else. You could be studying other things, and you could be getting into something else. But you're going down somewhere that you don't really enjoy just to get a check, when you need to reevaluate that. You need to put your muscles to the test and get things done, okay? And so that is what we got to do as a whole community. But the first thing we want to do is save the queen. You got to save the queen. If you ever played chess, she's the most powerful piece on the board. She can kill everybody, but you got to make sure that she's healthy enough to do that. And when she's on point in all of her senses, and when she's on point being one back with nature, remember Mother Earth and her, they got a relationship that they can get into now that's going to go way deeper than mama and son ever could. There's a bond now that got to get rekindled. But once we're able to do that through natural means of food, the natural indigenous foods, and natural means of exercising these toxins out of your body, exercising the demon, getting it out of you, exit, right? And then we're going to change all of these diseases into great attributes. Okay? We're going to change all of these diseases that have been passed down at this point. We're going to change them into great attributes. People gonna come out being geniuses and smart as, wow, I don't know what the world going on with these black folk around here. I know it, because we are changing the paradigm. We're shifting into a whole nother understanding of who we are, why we are, and all of the mechanisms that actually we are starting to realize have been done to keep us down. And one of the main mechanisms, one of the main individuals that have been, they've been putting their knee on her neck way longer than really ours, is our black queen. And it's time for her to breathe. And it's time for you to get your damn foot off her neck. So, man, I love you guys, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go tell somebody your homie HerbMan was on. And until next time, love HerbMan.
Yo, good people. Welcome to the HerbMan Show.